Guys, if you're a big car fan or a performance car fan, essentially, there's one number that we all are obsessed with: horsepower. Now, if you grew up in the 90s, 2000s, like myself, or even in the 80s, everybody knows the bigger the horsepower, is usually the fastest. And that's what we was taught, and that's what we all been going with for all this time. But what if I tell you the single most impressive engine in my eyes only have three cylinders? That's right, guys. The best performing engine comes from a three-cylinder car. And honestly, that's not even a trick question. It's just a sign to me that we have just been looking at performance in a completely wrong way. Well, not the completely wrong way, but an old way. Because the obsession with horsepower for me is over. And I just want to see where you stand on that. Because to me, it's been replaced by a much smarter, it's just a more exciting way to look at cars. And that metric, guys, is efficiency. Now, when I say efficiency, I know you're probably thinking you're boring, commuter car, miles per gallon. Guys, saving a few bucks at the pump is important, but let's get this straight. That's not, absolutely not what I'm talking about here. We need to draw the hard line between simple fuel economy and true engineering efficiency, guys, because there's a hard difference. Fuel economy is just a figure that it's just an outcome of efficiency, just one outcome. It's about how far you go, but as useful as it is a number for your wallet, it hardly tells you anything about the soul of a car and how the car goes down the road. But true engine efficiency, guys, is a process. It's a measure of how cleverly your machine turns out the potential energy from a drop of fuel into kinetic energy, the kind of energy that you feel in your butt, the butt dyno, or shoves you back in your seat, essentially. A truly efficient performance car doesn't just sip fuel, guys. It uses every single drop with bad intention. So, what does that really mean? It comes down to a few key things, guys. First, thermal energy or thermal efficiency. How much heat from burning fuel actually gets turned into useful work instead of just being wasted out the radiator or the exhaust. Your average road car these days have an efficiency number of around 30%, 25%. Those are good, efficient cars. I've seen some go as low as 20. But that means 70% of the energy in the gas you buy literally does nothing to move you. It's just wasted out the exhaust. For comparison, guys, most advanced race cars have pushed this figure not way past 50, but up in that 50% range. At least half of the fuel you put into them cars moves you. And then you got volumetric efficiency. That this is about how well your engine breathes. So think of it like a world-class athlete. Their performance depends on how much oxygen they can get into their muscles. The engine is no different. Its performance is dictated by how much air you can pull and push into the cylinders. And obviously, if you have more air in your cylinders, you could add more fuel. And adding more fuel means a bigger bang, which obviously relates to more power directly. So achieving high volumetric efficiency is a massive engineering challenge, and this is why technology like turbochargers exist, because it literally forces air into your car by making it using compressor to give you more volume. So, and finally, there's your drivetrain efficiency. Now we don't all know this, but most people know how much power your engine creates is not actually what makes it to the pavement. Every gear, every shaft, every clutch between your engine and the tires creates friction, and those frictions steals your power, guys. So when you look at cars through true efficiency, The whole performance landscape shift, and the question is no longer how much horsepower you got. It's more how much actual power do you have. Let's start with the easiest one to grasp, guys. Power to weight ratio. Now, this isn't just about having a monster engine. It's about how much of the car that engine has to lug around. And to me, this is where efficiency conversations should begin. So let's imagine two cars. In one corner, you have one of my favorite cars, a Dodge Challenger. I'm gonna use the RT because if you use a Hellcat, it's not a lot of cars we can compare it with. That car just has a massive amount of power. Or even the Demon. So let's use the RT for this demonstration. It has a beast of an engine, the 5.7 V8, making a healthy 375 horsepower. Everybody knows it makes a little bit more than that, but that's the number we're gonna use for this. But guys, that car has to move around. That engine, 375 horsepower, has to move around 4,157 pounds. It's a lot. On the other corner now, you have a modern classic like a Lotus Evora GT. It uses a smaller Toyota engine, the 3.5 liter V6. That cranks out an even better 460 horsepower thanks to the supercharger. But more importantly, the cars just weigh 3,100 pounds. Doesn't weigh much in today's standards, at least. The horsepower numbers might look somewhat close on paper, but guys, the way those cars feel is going to be worlds apart. By being so much lighter, the Lotus is more efficient in every single one of those horses. It needs less energy to get it going, stopping it, turning it. Everything's going to feel immediate because there's a lot less weight transfer. Anytime you change inertia or change direction, it's going to happen a lot faster. This completely transformed the driving experience, guys. The lighter, more efficient car feels agile and alive. The steering is going to feel sharper and more immediate. So the car essentially is going to feel like an extension of your body. You know what I mean? And it's not just some heavy object you like wrestling with. Sure, making a heavy car go fast in a straight line, it's easy. But just keep adding power. It's gonna go faster in a straight line. But making a car that dance and could go through a corner and feel like part of you takes some intuitive like engineering, and it's gonna require some kind of intelligence. I'm not saying people that make straight line monsters are not intelligent, but it's a lot easier to make a straight line car. And honestly, it's gonna require a level of efficiency and lightweight design. And it's a principle that you will see taken to the absolute max when it comes to motorsport. Just look at it everywhere, guys. Whether it's GT, F1, Group 1, LMP, they all take efficiency to the next level. This, guys, is where things really get wild. Because earlier I mentioned a 3-cylinder engine being an engineering marvel. Well, the 3-cylinder I'm talking about is the friendly giant, and that engine can produce 600 horsepower. If I told you that a couple years ago, you'd probably call me crazy. You'll say a 3-cylinder car, it's probably some cheap city car, right? Some that don't even come to America. But you'll be wrong. Because the friendly giant, guys, the engine in the heart of the Koenigsegg Gamera, that engine only weighs like 70 kilograms. And honestly, it redefines what we thought was possible in a road car. It makes 600 horsepower from just 3 cylinders. Put that into perspective, that's more power than many V8s. Coming from an engine you could practically check on as luggage, guys. And how in the world is that even possible? Well, we all know Koenigsegg, we all know Christian Vaughn. He's gonna obsess over the most minute things. And his pursuit of engineering efficiency allowed him to create the free valve technology. Now, Free valve technology completely ditches the camshaft. It's a piece of metal that's been in our cars for centuries. But guys, it's essentially it allows the instead of using the camshaft, pneumatic actuators open and close each valve independently. It's giving the engine complete control over the engine, and it can control things like its breathing, optimize airflow for any situation, and honestly, it maximizes power efficiency in a way that a normal engine could only wish it could, or at least dream of it at least. This is a masterclass in volumetric and thermal efficiency. And while Koenigsegg pushes the boundaries for road cars, guys, things get even crazier when you start looking at the world of racing. Now, if you look no further than Formula One, since 2014, F1 cars have used the 1.6 liter V6 hybrids. And through radical tech like NGUH, which recovers the energy from the exhaust, guys, F1 car pushes its efficiency to 50%. That's 30% more than what the V8 used to make that 1,000 horsepower that these V6 engines today are using. And they both make the 1,000 horsepower. It's taking way more fuel for the V8 that F1 used to use to make the same amount of horsepower. And so that makes the V8 inefficient. These examples prove that the future of performance isn't bigger and better engines, it's smarter engines, guys. Because the lessons learned on the track will definitely influence the technology in our road cars in the future. So, you've got the lightweight car, the brilliant engine, but all that power is useless, guys, if you lose all of it on the way to the wheels. This brings us to a final piece of the puzzle. When an engine makes 500 horsepower, that power has to travel through a transmission, a drive shaft, differential, and axles. Every component creates friction and soaks up mad power. This is called drivetrain loss, guys. We all know what it is. Depending on what you got, it's typically ranging from maybe 10 to like 25% of all your power is lost. Front wheel drive being the most simple setup, down in the 10 to 12% range. And then all wheel drive being the more complex and more things being about 25% drivetrain loss. And I just can't imagine that 25% of your power vanishing in just heat and noise. Like nobody knows where it goes. So improving drivetrain efficiency, guys, means finding a more direct path for your car to truly make the power that the engine is making. And for an extreme example of this, you have to go back to Koenigsegg. Now, guys, I know it sounds like I'm shilling for Koenigsegg, but Koenigsegg is one of my favorite companies, but they are always looking for ways to overcome the hardships and the challenges of making engines. They're always finding ways to be more efficient. If you look at the Regera, guys, it uses Koenigsegg's system called the direct drive. I think it's called Koenigsegg Direct Drive, KDD. So at low speeds, electric motors handle things, and as speed builds, a hydraulic coupling smoothly connects the engine directly to the rear of the wheel, and with just a single fixed gear. So the result is a near total elimination of drivetrain loss. I'm not gonna say it's almost totally eliminating drivetrain loss, guys. By throwing out weight, friction, complexity of a transmission, the Regera unleashes its engine's power with brutal and uninterrupted efficiency. And this is what we want to see, guys. More mainstream example of this. So the reason why some people really love these EV cars is because EVs have an advantage in their drivetrain because it's incredibly simple. The power flows from the battery to the motors, and they're usually through a single speed gear, so one, maybe two at max. And then there is no complex transmission or clutch or idle chatter they have to worry about. And this is why AV deliver that instant neck snapping power. Now, because naturally they are masters of efficiency. So why you as a driver should care about efficiency, guys? It's it's not just all engineering talk, guys. Because a truly efficient car delivers a fundamental better driving all around. It's not something about spec sheet, right? Efficient car, one with great power to weight ratio, minimal drivetrain loss, and even just technologies that helps better airflow, it's gonna give you a more agile, a more lightweight, change direction easier. It's gonna be eager to drive unlike a heavy car. Because guys, heavy car can never match that. It feels more connected to the road, telling you exactly what the tires are doing, and it delivers a more honest and just the pure kind of driving most drivers can appreciate, and just instead of just using brute force to overcome its own weight and inefficiencies. So its use of clever engineering to be the best version of itself result in a car that feels cohesive, purposeful, and honestly deeply satisfying to drive. So for too long, guys, the conversation we've been having about performance car has just been this one-dimensional conversation about raw power. But guys, true automotive greatness is more nuanced than that. It's not just about raw power, but about the intelligence that goes into making that power. It gotta be a full, complete system, lightweight, efficient, wastes nothing, guys. And this new, not new, but true definition of true efficiency is a far better way to judge what makes a car special. And it celebrates at the same time the engineering wizardry that's been developing over the years. From the 20 horsepower all the way to where we are now. So next time you look at a car, guys, I urge you, look past the peak horsepower number and look into how that car puts that power down. How much of that power is wasting? How is it helping you stay connected to the road? Look at the whole complete car, guys. But I want to hear from you. I've brought in a few cars that I thought was master engineering masterpiece. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below, guys. What do you find to be the best performance car based on efficiency?